Hi, Christy. It's nice to see you.
Hey, good to see you too. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about adults only as a vacation option with you because it seems to be all the rage, especially with Virgin, but across the industry. I mean, from your point of view, is adults only really a growing niche for consumers and for travel advisors?
Absolutely. I think especially lately, we've seen it continue to grow. There's just this demand out there for unique and exclusive experiences amongst travelers. I think the adults only resort segment caters really well to those that want kind of that more sophisticated experience, but not even just couples. You see a lot of groups of friends and even solo travelers that
Yeah.
just want to find an atmosphere that's more relaxed and, honestly doesn't have the unpredictability of other people's children in it so they can stay unplugged in our everyday really busy lives.
Yeah, and I know I've heard the question of if you could pay extra to be in an adults only cabin on an airplane. That seems to be something consumers want. But that I did want to ask you, you mentioned solo travelers groups. I mean, does this segment seem appropriate to market to all kind of consumers, whether they're parents who want to get away from their kids, whether they're, groups of adults who want to go away together? It seems appropriate for a lot of different kinds of groups.
For sure. And I think honestly, we've just been programmed to assume adults only means couples. And a lot of that is just kind of the marketing you see that's out there is that a lot of those, adult only all inclusives are targeting those couples and honeymooners. But it is so much more than that because you do have people who have children that are constantly looking at taking that guilt-free vacation and how can they get away and kind of reconnect with their partner. So it really does appeal to everyone, even solo travelers, because if you're going solo and you're not bringing your own kids, you definitely don't want to be around others. So I think you've got such a wide segment to target.
Yeah. So I want to play devil's advocate a little bit. I know that a lot of different suppliers offer sort of adults only settings in a more inclusive atmosphere. I'm curious, I mean, from what you hear from consumers, from what you hear from your partners, why wouldn't a couple or a group of singles opt for maybe a larger setting, a more inclusive setting than the adults only setting? I mean, what's the real benefit of going somewhere that's exclusively catering towards adults?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many amazing products out there that sometimes you don't have the choice. You are having to travel with kids, or maybe there are kids in the group. So some properties do offer those adult only areas. What I love, and the reason I think truly adult only experiences are so impactful is, I mean, imagine this: you're on your vacation, you go, you do this beautiful 90-minute spa treatment, you get a massage, you're feeling relaxed, then you finish and you decide, I want to go to the pool and read this book that I've put off for, only knows how long.
Yeah.
And so you go to the pool, you sit down, and before you can even take out your book, you're greeted by cannonball and splash of water. You're soaking wet. And you've now gone from that relaxing adult only area to an area where you're back with kind of that unpredictability of children. So this gives you the chance that through your entire vacation and an adult only truly specific vacation that you're constantly going to be able to have a peaceful ambiance and enjoy and just relax.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I guess avoiding that unpredictability that might come with having younger people on board. I've never heard it put that way, but that seems to be the best way
Yeah,
to
for
think
sure.
about it. Yeah. So I know there's been a lot of new entrants in the market. I mean, obviously Virgin Voyages as well, in the adults only market. I'm just curious, I mean, from your experience in the industry, have you seen the whole segment change over the past few years? I mentioned it seemed to be trending among consumers, but that seems to be coming with the additions of new options for travelers coming to and suppliers leaning into the adults only market. Um, have you
Yeah.
seen this segment change over the past few years?
Absolutely. I think for especially now more than ever, the travel advisor is such an amazing tool. I mean, honestly, I think there's so many products out there. People are constantly changing, especially post COVID. You're seeing
Yeah.
maybe products that had a lot of inclusions that now are scaling them back because business is kind of back to how it was. So consumers now more than ever are relying on travel advisors to make sure they're helping to position them and send them to the right vacations or right potential audiences. And I think now it's so important that, you find the products you're comfortable with and you know what the experience is, because people are coming to you looking for that expertise. And I think you've all been in that situation where someone comes to you saying, this is where I want to go. And when you dig deeper into, well, why are you wanting to go there? You realize that that might not actually be the property that they're going to get that best experience at. So I think I'm very much a proponent of call your advisor and talk through those steps, because there's so many options, and so you can really help navigate them to the vacation that's going to be most impactful to them.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, I have a feeling the answer is a little bit of both, but in your experience, when you're talking to advisors who sell a lot of adults only vacations, is it the consumer approaching them or the client approaching them wanting an adults only vacation, or is it the client approaching them wanting a vacation and the advisor is the one who sort of pairs them and suggests that maybe going adults only is the way to go?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I think too, you're overwhelmed with all the options out there. So sometimes people don't realize what they're looking for has an adult only option to it. So they come to you with something else. But I'd say in the recent years, we're seeing such an uptick in people specifically coming to advisors saying, I want to go somewhere without kids. And so again, it's going to be both, but I think too, just constantly asking those qualifying questions, because I think a lot of people have that adult only market that they don't necessarily realize it because of the questions that they're asking. So dig into that, because there's definitely a lot of people looking for it.
Yeah, and then what about the other way around? I imagine that especially the more seasoned travelers might have a perception of adults only vacations that maybe doesn't match what's available on the market right now. Have you heard from your partners about any hangups that people have opting to go on adults only things, maybe with the perception they might have of what it's like, or any other misconceptions that are in their mind?
Yeah, of course. I think when you look at the adult only market, and again, going back to just how it's been positioned for years, is that it was only for big romance or those
Yeah.
honeymooners and couples. And it's not. I think even now more so, you start to see some of the resorts kind of shift how they're marketing, that they want those friend groups that are coming and celebrating the milestone birthdays, because they're bringing a large group of friends and they're all deciding to leave their kiddos at home to go have this unique experience. So it's definitely interesting to see how the market is changing, because I think the way we're traveling today is very different than how we were doing it a few years ago.
I didn't want to let you go without asking specifically about Virgin Voyages. I know there was so much excitement in the run up to the launch, and I know the launch, from what I've heard from travel advisors, has gone really, really well. What's coming up for Virgin Voyages? Is there anything travel advisors should be aware of, towards the end of this year or even going into 2024?
Yes, of course. Well, Virgin Voyages, from the adult only side, that is what we do and what we do really well. So I would encourage everyone that if someone's coming to you wanting a cruise or maybe an all-inclusive vacation and they're not going with their children, Virgin Voyages should be on that shelf space as an option for them. I think for us, as we continue to grow, we just released a ton of new itineraries into 2025. But we designed the ships with the parents in mind. So every experience is catered towards adults. We want you to bring your inner child, not your actual children, and come have an amazing time. And part of that is knowing when you have truly a relaxing vacation and you can get away, you can go back to your everyday life as the best version of yourself. And so that's what we want for people. And again, we don't worry, there's still plenty of fun to be had on the ships, but doing it again in just a very different environment. It's a great way to travel.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I'm going to go back to how you described it, like avoiding that unpredictability. It seems
Yes.
to me would be a great pitch. So, yeah, Kristy, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me a little bit about Virgin, a little bit about your point of view of the all-inclusive market too, or the adults only market.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.